Okay, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to make this video to help the teachers tear down their tech equipment. Um, so it'll make it easier for everyone, mostly you, the tech. And if that teacher decides to leave at some point and not come back, it'll make it easier for the person that will inherit that room. So um, it's I tried to make it as quick as possible, but I think it's going to end up being a couple of minutes. I shot some video yesterday and I'm going to go ahead and just narrate through it, and hopefully it'll be really helpful. Okay, so let me turn that off. All right, so here we have a typical setup with a computer, mouse, keyboard, and there are only a couple items. A lot of, this kind of scares a little bit, scares teachers a little bit because they think it's a lot of wires, but I'm going to show you actually how easy it is. There's only really four basic wires. You have your Ethernet. Ours is attached to the wall right here because we were testing some students and the Wi-Fi just wasn't reliable. I had a dongle. But see, there are only a limited number of connections. That's the power. That's the VGA, the blue one. And then you have your Ethernet. The rest of this stuff is just extra peripherals, okay? Before you do this, you always unplug the power first. That's what I usually do, so you don't get shocked. I mean, there's a very slim chance anyway. For the monitor, it's usually blue. You have to unscrew it, okay? So it's, you screw it in to make it secure, and then you have to unscrew it. So I would recommend you do it in that order first, okay? And then the other things, those are for old mice and keyboard connections. Don't worry about those, okay? And then the other things we have here, we have a keyboard, and I think that's the USB mic and headphones, and then the camera. So I went ahead and removed the Ethernet. There's usually a little tab that you click, but that is the wireless dongle for the mouse. So the mouse could be wireless. It works. If you have a wired mouse, it's fine too. So yeah, those are the other peripherals right there. Okay. So now that the desktop itself is totally free, I could lift it and carry it somewhere. Now this is something you don't have to do, but I do recommend it. You can kind of open it up, and depending on how dusty your building is, there's going to be a lot of dust that collects. And this is why the computers stop working after a certain amount of time, because all this dust, it kind of collects. It's kind of like your car where it needs to cool down. That is a cooler, okay? That's a CPU cooler, and it needs to get proper circulation, ventilation. If not, and it gets all clogged up like that, it's gonna overheat, and it's gonna be bad for the CPU. It's gonna overheat, and it's not gonna work after a while. Now, typically, I'd recommend if you had a vacuum, you would probably do that. Try not to use air cans because it just makes the dust go everywhere. And see, these things are, you can just lift it and you can see all these vents that it's collected. This is not too bad because I've cleaned this out before. So put everything back in. And this is simple. Most old school computers, they have screws that you have to kind of use a Phillips head for. But this is just basically a lock. See, now it's clean. Circulation is good. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to look at the peripherals. And let me see. Okay, so I'm going to remove the other end of the VGA cable. This is where you get video, okay? A lot of times, you're not getting anything. It's because this is loose in the back. And then that's the power cable. As you can see, it looks exactly like the power cable that goes on the CPU. It's basically 3-prong. So I'm going to set all that stuff aside. See, everything is wireless up to that point. Let me go ahead and just pause it real quick. Yeah, everything's pretty much wireless up to that point. I detached the cables first, because it just makes it easy for me to carry things around. And, I mean, you carry it around and you can move it anywhere. You could move it in the closet or whatnot. But I'm going to show you how to wrap the cables. What a lot of people do is they label all their cables, and then they just kind of roll it up in a big mess and throw it in a box or a bag somewhere. I would recommend not doing that because, one, you don't learn anything because you're depending on those labels to tell you exactly where to put everything. But they're really, the cables can only plug in a certain way. It's not like you can plug them in wrong. So I would say just go ahead and unplug it. They're really just four main kinds. But okay, so for wrapping up the cables, you're going to need a couple things. If you have some Post-its, which I'm pretty sure you do, it could be big or small, and some tape right here. Okay, you could have like a pen or a marker to mark things if you want to. That's perfectly fine. But I'm going to show you why I do it this particular way. So let's go ahead with the video. So we're going to run it. See, we have all these cables. We have the Ethernet, the VGA, the power cables. The power cables are the same, you know, for the monitor and the CPU. So it doesn't matter if I mix them up. So that's the VGA cable. Let me show you what I do to kind of wrap it up. That's the wireless mouse dongle. And let's see what. Yeah, I don't have a tripod, so I'm gonna have to put it down. So I'm gonna take one of the cables. This is the power cable, and I kind of, you know, just loop it like a rope. And then I'm gonna take the. Let me see if. Oh, I think that's a little too high. I couldn't see. So I'm gonna fold the Post-it note in half. I am going to get some tape, and I'm gonna make the tape a little bit longer than the Post-it note. Do not use zip ties or rubber bands. Absolutely do not use zip ties or rubber bands. The reason why I do this is because I don't really want you to use tape either, but we got to stick it to something. So the reason for the Post-it is so the tape adhesive doesn't stick to the wires, because after it gets hot over the summer, you have it packed away, there's going to be some glue and it's going to make your wires really, really sticky. So the Post-it notes kind of protect the cables. And see, towards the end, I always fold it as a flap so it doesn't stick, and when I come back I could just easily peel it off. Okay, so let me do that again. That was kind of quick. So we're going to take the Ethernet cable, and I'm just going to kind of loop it like I normally do. And notice I'm not doing it from my wrist to my elbow, which a lot of people do, and they totally twist and mess up the wires. So I have it kind of neatly wrapped. And see, I noticed the end and the beginning are close together because I don't want anything kind of dangling, or I don't want the wires to stray out. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to fold the Post-it note in half, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap the cable. It's not going to stick yet, not until I bring in the tape. But once again, I'm doing this to protect the cable from the adhesive that's going to come loose during the summertime. Okay, so I wrap it around, and remember, towards the end, I'm going to make a little flap so I can remove it easily when I come back from the summertime. Okay, once again, you can use a marker at this point or a pen to kind of mark what cables there are if you forget. So okay, this other cable, so far we've done 3 cables: the power cable, the Ethernet, and this is going to be the monitor cable. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a piece of Post-it and then just fold it in half. Once again, protect the wire. I usually like to use Post-its because they're really bright. So, and then take your tape, wrap it around. Okay, and that was pretty quick. I did 3 cables already. Remember, we need that flap. So wrap it all the way around. Now I'm going to show you when we get back, whoever uses the room, see, they're going to take that cable and they're say, oh, somebody left these cables for me. This is great. And, you know, they put it in a Ziploc bag. Now when they remove it, all they got to do is look at the flap, and then they need to use it again. See, the cable's free. Throw away the tape and Post-it note, and you're good to go for the fall. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap that up a little bit. Okay, so the next video are your peripherals. Notice I've already kind of prepared everything. See, the wireless mouse, if you have a wireless mouse, make sure if it comes with a dongle, then you put it in a place where you can find it later. Okay, don't just leave it out, because they're paired up. They'll only work with that particular mouse. And I removed the battery too, because batteries tend to leak over the summer. Okay, there's a keyboard. See, I just kind of wrapped it. And then the mic, headphones. See, it's a USB connection. See, all of these are USB connections. There are only 4 main types: USB, Ethernet, power cable, and the VGA. Once again, those are old connections. Now, let me back up over here real quick. Let me show you. Where is the? Let me back up a little bit. Actually, let me go. Okay, about a little too fast. So these connections right here, these are sound connections, okay? If you have like external speakers or headphones, see there are actually symbols back here in case you forget. These two are the old school mouse. See that? If you look at that, you can see it's a little mouse. It's an old school mouse connection. We really don't use these anymore, and it's color coded, you know, green and purple. And if you could see this, this is a keyboard. It's a little tiny keyboard. See, there are always little clues and hints to tell you what to connect everything. This right here, this just is like it's a data connection, so that's hardly used, okay? This right here, I don't know if you can see this, but it's a little monitor. That's how you know this goes out to the monitor. So if you're ever in doubt, there are clues in the back of the computer to help you out, okay? Now this, there's an arrow pointing to sound going in. Actually, I think that's confusing. But the blue one is actually if you have a microphone or something like that, you plug it in there. And this on the bottom, I know my finger's covering it. This is sound. And there's a little arrow going in, but just remember green is always sound going out, okay? And then blue is sound going in. So that's like a microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And like, you know, pointing to the USBs again. And another thing too, what I like to do is if I have a lot of peripherals and they all use USB, I typically put them all in the back. I don't put them in the front. A lot of teachers put them in the front, and you know, if it's an elementary school, the kids are going to kick it and they're going to break it. And that has happened many, many times. So whenever I can and there are available USB ports in the back, I stick everything in the back. I want it all in one place. I want the front of the computer clean. So I don't have any kids accidentally kicking it. Okay, so here are my cables, they're neatly wrapped. And then here's my CPU unit. Once again, this is wireless. I mean, there's no wires hanging from it. I could take it up just like the monitor. I could just take it and put it in the closet, and that's totally cool. So here you have it. This is, I am ready to put everything away. I have the monitor. If you have a trash bag, you could cover the monitor or cover the CPU from dust. See, I have all of the peripherals put in a Ziploc bag. You could either put your name on it or the room number. I would suggest room number, so you have it in the computer lab, because you know a lot of things could happen through the summer. You know, see there's a marker right there. You could write your stuff on it. I would not put your name on it in case you don't come back. So anyway, that was pretty much it. Let me see if I get back to the text. There it is. Okay, I hope that was very helpful. I'm gonna make another video, possibly about smart boards, because I know I have a lot of questions. People ask questions about that, just how to hook up their smart boards when they get back. Maybe at some point during the summer I'll do that. There are different types of smart boards, but they all kind of are kind of the same, you know, same way hooking up. So once again, this has been Mr. Young. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me, and I will be at PO this summer. Okay, have a great day.